What advice would you give those either young in their relationship or older that may have challenges that they have to face that suffer from comparison syndrome?
Manage your household for you and your family. And whatever decision you make sure it's going to affect my wife and kids in the most positive way first. Once it affects them positively, then we can move on.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, where we have real conversations with extraordinary people in multi-million-dollar homes. I'm your host, Erica Rawls, and today we have a special episode for you. You know, those relationship pros? Well, y'all went really crazy online. I really appreciate all the feedback. We had to bring them back, and yet I wanted to pair them off with a younger couple because of the topic that we have today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to navigate relationships in the social media age. So here are our guests, Trishonda Caverstock, Julius Caverstock, Bree Roman, and Aki Cowan. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. So the first question I want to ask you, before I go into that, people were asking, okay, relationship pros, do they have a degree? Like literally DMing me, what is their degree in, right? So here's the thing. When you are a professional, that means you have at least so many years of experience. These two happen to be one of my true dear friends, and they've been together. We've been together, knowing each other for what?
Like 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. And you two been together for how long?
30.
A good amount of time.
31.
31 years. So I think that qualifies them as being relationship pros, don't you? Because they've seen the ups, they've seen the down, they've seen the good, they've seen the bad, and they really come with some great wisdom. So I'm excited just to hear what they have to say. And then we have Aki and we have Bree, right? Yeah. They're younger in their relationship, I'm sure, right? How long have you been together?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, he's rubbing his palms like 6 years. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to hear this balance. Okay, so we're going to be talking about social media, okay? Specifically, how to navigate the relationships in social media. So how has social media played a role in your relationship? Who would like to start us off? We'll go with the younger couple. Who over there is brave enough to start us off? How has social media played a role in your relationship?
I'll start off to say I was never huge on social media.
Okay.
But I feel like today you can gain knowledge from videos and just insight being dropped on social media. And I think we both take a look at that and we'll send to each other like, maybe we should try this, maybe we should try that. I don't think it really goes past that though, as far as just getting new ideas or things we should maybe try to, I don't know, spice up our relationship or make it better. More from a communication aspect, I feel like. So that's what I would say as far as it affecting our relationship.
Okay.
No, I agree.
You agree with that?
Yeah, we'll send like motivational stuff back and forth, whether it's like for us two in general or being a parent, whatever the case may be. I know early on for us with social media, I was like, no, don't post me. Like, don't put me on social media.
That is such a thing. And why is that for the younger generation?
I feel like in the very beginning stages of us dating, I was very private. I just had the viewpoint of like private, the less chaos, the less confusion, the less anybody could say anything. Just to give us an opportunity to kind of really get to know each other and appreciate each other. But we were kind of talking on the way here, trying to figure out exactly what we would be talking about. And he was like, but I think it kind of like, what was the word you just said? It expanded? Like, he feels like now I'm more okay with allowing him to post me when he does, which is
okay,
true.
So it's you not wanting him to post.
Yeah, at this point, yes. But in the beginning, I was just like, oh, no, it's okay. Like,
yeah. How about the Caverstocks? What are you thinking? Like, how has social media played a role in your relationship?
I'm not really a big social media person. And I remember early on when it first came out, Trish would do stuff like, you didn't post me for this or you didn't post me for that. And I'm like, I don't post like that. Or why did you like this? And my response was, if you keep doing this, I'm going to unfriend you.
Not unfriend.
Yeah, extreme.
Unfriend a spouse.
Extreme.
Unfriend.
Extreme. Extreme.
Because to me, it was like social media is not that big of a deal. It's like No, I'm not going to go on it every time something happens and post to social media. Social media is a magical world. Nobody puts the truth on it. Everybody on there starting lying, acting like their world is so magical. Tanisha and her boyfriend, oh, me and Bay in the Bahamas, but you ain't post when Bay was beating you the other night.
We don't know a Tanisha. There's no shade, okay?
But it's just,
we do not.
I know someone, they was like, my life is so horrible. My friends, I said, nobody posts the bad times on social media. The worst bad times you're going to see on social media is about somebody dying. They don't post, we ain't got enough money to pay the light bill this month. It's a magical place where people go to brag. That's what it is.
Almost like a personal billboard.
Yeah. It's just, I think a lot of couples put too much emphasis on social media.
Really? You agree with that?
I had to, when social media first started, so I'm talking way back, like 2007 for me, 2008, I think is around the time that I joined Facebook. And it was just that. Like everyone's putting their spouse out there, putting their significant other out there, and it's just you constantly inundated with it. So, of course, I'm thinking I need to be on that same trend. So I'm like, hey, why didn't you post me? Or it's Mother's Day, why didn't you say something to me? Or whatever. And then as time began to go on and evolving in my relationship and evolving in my maturity, I realized I don't need that. I don't need the validation from the world about what's being posted. I don't need people to, I need to stop looking at other people too and what they're posting. So I'm on the same line with Bree and Key, where now I just focus on what gems are other people dropping that I can take? What wisdom? What am I learning from the experience? Because I realized that comparison is one of the thieves of joy. So I can't look at social media and completely keep comparing myself and my relationship, my situation, my job, my finances to all of these people out there who really could be fake and stunting. Why? Be happy with what I have. Because if I keep comparing, I'm never going to be able to appreciate what I have.
Yeah. So in general, do y'all think that social media has a negative impact or positive impact overall in relationships?
I think it has a negative impact.
How so?
I know plenty of people who are putting pressure on their spouses to do certain things, to be a certain way, all for social media. Oh, you need to take me to Greece so I can do one of those picture sheets and post it on social media. Oh, you need to buy me this bag and this and that. I want you to take, when you take me to the store, I want us to tape it so I can put it on social media. I want to act like you can you buy me a Gucci bag and then come in and surprise me? It's like.
So it's not a surprise if you say, can you buy me a Gucci bag and then surprise me?
But exactly. Behind the scenes, they're staging all of this stuff and it puts unrealistic pressure on members of that relationship. The female's trying to create something or the guy's trying to create something. Everybody wants to create this persona of we're doing great, we're having fun, we're doing this. Like if you really look at my social media, I don't really post pictures anymore. I don't post my trips hardly. I post very, very little to social media. Every now and then I may go on there and say something to my daughters or to my wife. And the only reason I do that is because I say to myself, well, maybe in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, whenever I'm gone, and if I have grandkids, they can look back and say, oh, granddad posted this about mommy then, or, oh, here go a picture. So I just do it for those purposes. But, at the same time, for me, I try to be conscious of, you don't know the mental state of other people. And your posts, sometimes, people don't realize this, hurt somebody mentally. You're posting about being in the Bahamas, and here it is, somebody's looking at that, and they're in a very sad place, wishing they can do these things, and you just push them into a deeper hole, or they're putting unjust pressure on their spouse to compete with other people on social media. And it's like, come on, stop it.
So you're saying we have a responsibility to make sure that we're being sensitive as to what we're posting?
No.
I think you should be understanding of what you're posting. Some people, because the other thing that you gotta remember is with social media, there's these social media bullies. You gotta be conscious of what what you're posting. Now, I'm not saying if you're having a good time, you can't post it because it may make somebody else feel bad. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that don't let it to the point where it's dictating your relationship and everything you do, where you're trying to make your spouse do certain things just so you can put it on the gram. You want your spouse to take you to certain places just so you can put it on the gram. Or my birthday's coming up, you better shout me out on the gram. Like, come on.
Better is strong.
I know people who do this in their relationship.
And that's what they base the relationship on. Wow.
Social
Bree and
media.
Akeem, what do y'all think?
I feel like social.
You agree
have
with
to-
what though?
I mean, part of it, yeah. I
Okay.
feel like you have to know what your purpose of using social media is for. Like, everybody's purpose is different. Some people may use it from like a business aspect. Some people may use it from personal. I know for me, like, I post a lot more on my Instagram than I do my Facebook. My
Yeah,
Facebook
same.
is really to kind of connect with people that I don't really talk to that often. But Instagram I use for personal business. Like, I get more traction there. So kind of figuring out what that purpose is. Because I feel like if you have to be somewhat sensitive, you're kind of putting a shield over like who you are. Because I mean, you could be putting on a facade. But I feel like it's not fair to have to tiptoe around of how you want to express yourself because of somebody else.
Yeah,
But
I
it
think
does
that's a
put
lot
pressure.
of burden
Yeah.
to feel as though, okay, now I got to be sensitive to what I'm posting because I may hurt someone else. So then you're not able to live in what I call your authentic life because of that. So I would say, respectfully to those people, maybe social media shouldn't be your thing,
Right.
right?
Or I'm not the person you should follow.
Or I'm not the person you should follow. There you go. There you go. Yeah. How about you?
I think as humans, we naturally, if we're scrolling on social media, so I would say I would agree with him as far as saying it has more of a negative effect. Because I think, like you said, we see something and it may be something that we don't have or something we want. And I feel like we always compare, even if it's a little bit. I think we kind of compare for a second. Like I say, even if I'm just scrolling, I want this, or like, and I think it just puts you, it just adds to I know for her, it just adds on. So it just continues. She might see something one day, then the next day she might see something else, and it kind of adds up, and then it just all comes out at once. Like, well, you're not doing this, and that. I want this. So it's just like,
and you
So
get
it's
it.
like-
You get the brunt of it.
Yes. I think it. I think it puts a lot of pressure. And some is good pressure as well. I would say that because there's a lot of things that she may send me that I know I feel like I could work on or I could improve on in that area. So I might take that and be like, okay, this is something I really need to take serious and focus on. But I think you gotta, like you said, finding what is your purpose for social media? Like, what do you take from it? So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and y'all hit on it a little bit when we talked about, do you ever feel pressure to present a certain image of your relationship online, right? So it sounds as if that you could get caught in that trap of, okay, well, I got to show up this certain way, because this is how XYZ over here is showing up. I got to bring a gift of a Gucci bag, on their button day, or show up with flowers at work, so that they can post something on IG. And that's truly is what I've heard referred to as Instagram envy. So I guess, like, what are some ways that we all should be looking at to make sure that doesn't happen? And do you feel like sometimes you fall victim to it?
I think sometimes you get to a place where I started changing my algorithm. A good friend of mine named Jessica Ruth was one of the people that said it. I would see some of these celebrities, right, who we don't know if they're getting paid behind the scenes for all of these endorsements and things like that. I'm following all of these people that are doing all of these things that are completely out of what I know financially I'm capable of doing. So I had to go in and start following some people. I had to get to a point where I started changing my algorithm, even when it comes to influencer with clothes. I'm a plus size woman. So why am I following women that wear a size 6? They can't show me what I would look like in this particular outfit.
Yeah.
So I have to start changing some things up a little bit. So I think in changing the algorithm, it was less about the facade or the pressure of what I put forward and just learning from other people what they're putting out. But for me, I'm real with anybody I have a conversation with about my relationship. 30 years, ups, downs, ins, outs, arguments, thoughts of separation, thoughts of leaving, all of that stuff is true. Did I put all of it on social media all the time? No, because it's not everybody's business. But then I do, if I put up a post and it's a happy birthday, a happy anniversary, especially for the anniversary, I make it real. Like, we stuck through it all. And whatever all means to somebody else that's watching it, that's one thing. But I know what all means to us. Mm-hmm. So to me, it doesn't matter. I'm not on there for other people. I don't consider myself an influencer or anything of that nature where I have to be conscious all the time about what I'm putting out there. I just don't, I don't feel the pressure to do that. I make sure that I've made sure, because it wasn't like that in the beginning, that everything that I do see or the people that I do follow, I'm learning from them. Like, Bree put up something about encapsulation. I didn't even know that was a thing. So then I started Googling to find out information about it. I want to learn from the people that I'm following, basically.
Yeah. So you think there's a thing of oversharing on social media
Definitely.
when it comes to relationships?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Who's going to start then? Y'all like, yeah.
No, because I see it now. Like, there's people out there now, and I don't know why, for what reason they do it. Do you not have a safe space at home to talk to somebody about some of this stuff you're posting? Do you do it for attention, or do you just not have a filter? But people definitely can,
Or all the above.
yes. But people can definitely overshare. I mean, and I don't know. I kind of go back and forth with that, because it's like, if that's your truth, by all means, go ahead. But everything does not need to be posted. Is there a rule book of what you can and can't post? No.
That's the part. There's no rule book.
No.
It's like every man for themselves.
But I think it goes to speak what you said about the algorithm as well. Like, my algorithm has changed over the years from one thing to the next. So if you're following things that you can, or people that you can resonate with, that looks a little bit different. But if you're following things that don't even resonate with your life, then, like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. But yeah, back to the oversharing. People do it all the time. And from somebody like kind of watching or looking from the outside, depending on what the topic is, it could be a little annoying.
It's cringy sometimes.
Yes. Because it's like, do I comment? Do I not comment? And I'm very big on, like, I don't say much on social media unless I can resonate. But if I can't resonate, I'll keep the thoughts to myself. Mm-hmm. But even with that, if people do choose to overshare or whatever they decide to share, everything doesn't require for someone to speak on it as well.
Yeah.
Is it? But then I kind of, is there such thing as oversharing? If, like you said, I think social media is like, everybody's like, that's their space, that's their imaginary world, you know what I mean? So I feel like, I don't know if it's really such thing as oversharing, because then you just unfollow. Like, you don't have to see it. You kind of choose if you want to see that or not. So it's just
okay.
I mean, people are going to post what they post. It's their world that they're living in at that moment. They have their phone in their hand, and they're like, I don't really say it's oversharing. I just think that's what they want to share,
though. So,
and that's what we don't want to see. Yeah. So let's just remove ourselves from that.
Unfriend them.
Yeah.
But you've never been in a situation where you've seen someone like overshare something, and it's like, I don't want to say if you had a relationship with them or not, like a friendship, whatever. You've never seen something where you're like, let me slide in their inbox with this, be like, you probably should take that down. You've never ran into anything?
Definitely. But so you still choose to go out your way and send that message, or actually, like, pay attention to that message, whatever that message is. Like, you see it and you kind of fix your own emotions and fix your own thoughts about whatever's being tweeted, posted, and then you move forward with, if you want to give that person advice, or I say you should take this down. You still make that conscious decision to go out your way to kind of
But then I think it depends on what type of relationship you have with the person that you
Right.
believe is oversharing. Too,
Right.
right. If it's just some random person that you just met at a networking event one time and they're just like spilling all their guts, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm unfriending you. You're a team too much.
You don't have there's a button you don't have to unfriend, right? You can kind of mute the
On that
person.
kind of stuff is admitting on this podcast that you just may not be, you may be muted.
Hey, it may be muted.
You just may be muted.
Because there's some people, they're negative Nancy's. So if I wake up and I'm not feeling my best self, I don't want to see every day just you on social media complaining. But we're cool, we're friends, right? I may just stop by, see what you have going on in your life and move on. It's almost like social media gives you a window into everyone's home, into everyone's space. It's, do I want the blinds up on your space or do I want the blinds down? That's kind of how I feel. So once I knew that there was a way to go in and just start muting people, there were a lot of people that I've pushed the mute button on.
I mean, you sure, because this
You got to show us after the show.
Yes,
How do you
I will.
mute people?
Yes.
'Cause there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
Gotta be a couple. So what advice would you give those either young in their relationship or older that may have challenges that they have to face that suffer from comparison syndrome in their relationship? What advice would you give them? And are you vulnerable enough to say you're over it with comparing, being a younger couple, or do you still have challenges with that? So I would like all four of us to answer if we could at some point, right? So what advice would you give, right? Someone that is struggling with comparing their relationship to social media couples.
I guess I'll start. It's kind of hard for the advice aspect, but I will say, just based off my experience and what I see from older couples that been in relationships a lot longer, I feel like a lot of them may be stuck in whatever ways that have always worked for them, essentially. So maybe my advice, I'm not even going to single them out because I don't know how the relationship is, but I just say in general, just be open to being able to be flexible and adjust and be open to new things, trying new things, whether it's in the communication, whatever in the relationship that can help them grow. Just be open, because I feel like a lot of people like, this always worked for me, so I'm gonna just stick with it. And so I would say, just be more open and, not so closed off to everybody, because you could take something from everybody. You can learn from every situation, I feel like. So that's what I would say.
Okay.
I would say, as far as like with the comparison piece, just at some point having a conversation with your spouse, significant other, like, is this realistic for us? You can always watch people's videos and see what they post on social media and kind of want that for yourself, but is it realistic for your relationship? Because I know there's times where I send him stuff and he's like, come on, like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
So it's like being realistic, like, this is not our situation, whether it's right now or if we can get it in the future, but being realistic with what it is that you're trying to live up to or compare to, I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely follow somebody that does things that you wish you could do, but right now it's just not your season for it.
Yeah.
So being realistic about that, I think, is a big thing.
Okay. I like that.
I agree with both of them in terms of being open and then being realistic. I just have gotten to a point where I don't compare. I try my best.
So share your strategy.
Yeah, I just
Do not.
because I appreciate what I have, right? And I feel like there are things, like I see ideas of like, okay, set this up like a table. Like, I like the table in this $1 million home, the way the table is set up. You see things and you're like, okay, that's something that I can try, going back to what he was saying. But in terms of looking at him as my husband and then comparing him to other people's husbands, that I'm not going to do. Because if I do that, I will never be able to fully appreciate who he is. And then I'm never happy with anything he does if I'm consistently comparing him to somebody else.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah, I think a lot of unhappiness or unhappy couples actually start appearing because they are comparing themselves. And it's hard. If it's hard for you to separate someone else's reality from your reality, then I do think that, yeah, the mute button you were talking about, maybe put a pause on the people that you're following.
Right.
And also seek therapy,
Yes.
you know, because clearly there's something deeper than just what you're seeing on social media. You're truly struggling with who you truly are.
Right.
And being happy with what you have.
Right.
Being grateful.
And I'll speak on, because I know after we leave this space, she was probably gonna say, "Oh, we need this, and that. We need to get this, and that." So she spoke about realistic expectations. Like, all right, slow down. We can work towards it, but it can be used as a positive, you know, fuel. Like, all right, I get it. This is what you want, but you know.
Yeah, I love it. So what he's really trying to say is, we walked into this $2.3 million house, and Reed's over here like,
she's trying to figure out how we can get it today. I'm like, nah,
I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Wait until you see. It was the owner's suite that took us over the top. Yeah, that's what it was, with that whole private oasis. That's hard. It's okay to dream,
right?
And it's okay to set expectations, and that, I think, is what social media is great for, creating a vision of what you truly like, the life you truly want to live. Okay, yeah, I can do that. I'm not crazy,
right?
You know what I mean? Whether it's relationship or whether it's like a house or whatever it is, right? No, excuse me, y'all. He wants to be referred to as Uncle Jeff. You've been quiet over here a little bit, so we're going to open it up for you.
Somebody muted me.
No,
I was told before I got here, behave yourself.
I did not tell you to behave yourself.
No, I just think with social media, like they all said, is that you have to set expectations and boundaries. There's some things you're going to be able to afford. There's some things you're not going to be able to afford. That's just life. That doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how poor you are. There's just going to be cutoffs in life. You can be the richest man in the world, but if you come into somebody's house and say, I want to buy it, and they say no, you can't buy it. Money doesn't guarantee that you can get any and everything that you want. And it comes down to reality. Like I remember early on when we first got married, and we was living in an apartment, and they were building these houses. And at the time, the houses, I think they were like, maybe like 200,
300.
Was it 300?
Yeah. Which was a lot.
Which was a
we
lot.
Were all starting. I remember.
Yeah. That was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You got somebody like me, a kid from Harlem who lived in the projects, got somebody like her from the Bronx. And we went and we toured this house, and we walked through this house
because of our realtor friend, right?
I don't know. Probably. No. Actually, this was before Erica got into realty. It was. Before you got into realty and started driving.
Should tell you a story about you firing me, but we won't.
We can talk about that.
No, please
don't. Let me tell you how good my friendship is. Sorry, I'll tell you how good my friendship is with Erica. And I told Erica this the other day. I said, Erica, I'm probably one of your most consistent friends that you had. I fired Erica. I fired her.
And it's funny because he never admitted it until just
today.
Come clean. I fired her. Why? Because Erica wasn't moving the ball quick enough. So I fired her. And then I rehired her because I see the potential in her.
Okay.
So
because the other one didn't do good either. You're like, what?
I fired her.
Give you a chance.
Yeah,
you ain't even telling the right story. Let's go back to social media because you're being ridiculous.
But
ridiculous.
Back to social media. So we went to this house. At the time, it was like $300,000 house, and I'm like, how we gonna buy a $300,000 house? That was a lot of money. And she said, yeah, we just give the people a little bit of money every month until we pay it off. I said, what people? Who are you talking about? And she was like, the people that own the house. I was like, nah, I don't know how it works, but I can tell you for sure it don't work like that. So no, that's not happening. So I started researching it, and then I found out the process to buying the house. And then I had a cousin who bought a house, and I really trust him and looked up to him. So I called him and I talked to him. And then from there, I started, looking into the process. But to say that is, sometimes it does take one person's vision to spark a dream.
That's right.
To get a dream. Because if she wouldn't have never came with that foolish thought that we were just going to give this man $100, $200 a month until we die, and our kids and great grandkids finish.
I think that's super cute. I think
I wouldn't have never did that research. So I'm not going to say, don't look at things in social media and say I can never obtain that, because it is possible. You'd be amazed at what you can obtain, But also too, there has to be a realistic standpoint. And it may not always be that you can't afford it.
Yeah.
It may just be that you don't need it and you don't need to waste money. Like, for instance, I pretty much manage the finances for my family. My wife and kids will come to me all the time with foolish ideas.
Why are they foolish?
And I just listen to them.
have to be foolish.
I just listen to them.
Why
My
can't
bad.
they
Don't
just
drag.
be not right now?
My wife, she'll come to me with stuff, and I'll just listen to her. And I'll be like, And, I'll be like, let me think about it. I come clean. That's basically my polite no.
Yeah, we all know.
We're going to table the no.
We need to have him on here all the time.
Let me
He's doing a whole lot of confessions. A whole lot of confessions going on in this purpose nook.
We need to move on.
We do need to move on. Okay. Yes. We're going to just keep moving on.
So
No,
what I'm
she's
saying is,
ready
hold
to
on one
move
second,
on.
though. What I'm saying is, don't take what they put on social media and just count it out that you can't do it. If you want it and you want it bad enough, figure out a plan. Let that be your motivation to drive you to earning what you want.
He brought it back.
Thank you.
You redeemed yourself. Yes. So then, okay, let's go into how we can, because we had a lot that we just said right there in your little bit right there. But let's talk about risk of communication, jealousy, and distrust when it comes to social media, okay? So has social media ever created tension or trust issues in your relationship? And if how so? If they did, how did you address it? Has social media ever created tension or trust issues in your relationship? And if so, how did you address it?
Well, somebody told me, hey, we went to see Usher, and he said, this is my confession, so this is my confession to you.
What happened?
Somebody told me, well, why she always liking your post?
Yes, I did.
Da-da-da-da. Why this person? I'm like, look, I can't control what people like. It's social media.
That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Because now you put me on blast.
And once again, I had to tell her, if you don't stop this, I'm going to unfriend you.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you really keep it up behind the scenes, I'm going to temporarily change my status to single.
What? He just threatened that.
No, I did not.
Changing your status to single on social media, that's like the atomic bomb.
That's-
Boom!
Okay, first of all, that was not it.
Sure, so you get the point.
Thank you.
I can't.
That wasn't it. The whole issue was, and again, this was earlier on in social media, so please understand that I've grown
Yes.
I've matured way past all of that.
Yes.
But there was a particular someone that would never say anything unless he posted, and he doesn't post very often. So it was always a heart. It was always
You were aware.
I was very aware of what she was doing,
Mhm.
right? So I had to have a conversation with him about it. Now I'm gonna be honest. I don't monitor what he likes. I don't do any of that stuff.
I
but
think that's
because
dangerous.
it's very dangerous, and because he doesn't post often, when he does post, I do look, right? But let's say, now this never happened, but I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If someone was to put up a picture, some woman, and he threw some hard eyes or something underneath it, I'm going to punch him in his neck.
Bruce said, I agree.
That's the problem.
I agree.
I'm gonna punch
What
him in
is
his
wrong
neck.
with that,
I'm
Julie?
gonna punch him in his
on
neck.
that.
You
Hard eyes.
cannot hard eye
You
another
cannot.
woman's picture.
You know
I thought
what?
those was funny
You
faces.
cannot hard eye another
Not
woman's
the hard eyes.
picture. We cannot do
It's
that.
funny.
Can I poke him?
No. No, you can't poke him.
Oh my gosh, that's the throwing of the hands.
Yeah.
It's got out of control.
Yeah.
It definitely got the relationship.
Okay,
control.
we're switching it
Relationship
over.
creeping each other unraveled. Unraveled. No, that's true though. Like seriously,
Yeah, no.
heart eye. So you need what is it? Emoji etiquette. You have to understand what
Yes.
that is, right? You shouldn't be putting hard eyes under
No.
people's women's posts. You shouldn't be putting eggplants under women's posts. You should be putting no,
No,
you
stop,
cannot.
because you're gonna make people.
I don't
he doesn't
do that. I don't
You
do that.
cannot. I mean, there's a whole list of things that we can
Right.
talk about that you
Right.
should not do.
Right.
But back to the risk of miscommunication, jealousy, and trust, right? Like, is that a thing?
I don't recall us specifically, unless I'm just not remembering, but nothing like that we've went through.
Yeah.
Nothing that I recall.
Yeah, I can't really.
That is actually really
I
good.
can't really. I mean, like I know, like there's somebody that always sends her hard eyes or something after something she posts. But it's like, I mean,
I'll
just
share stuff like that with him.
yeah, and it's just like, I mean, I don't
we
really
joke about it.
Yeah, we
'cause
joke
it's funny.
about it, and it's like, okay, I mean,
But yeah, nothing.
I
other
know
than
my
that.
wife looks good, you know. That's what it is.
Back to what he was saying in the last episode.
Right.
Yeah, and you want
So she's
someone
gonna get
to,
that. I know she's gonna get that attention.
Do you know the person? Like, do you feel
I don't.
disrespected?
I don't know the person, so that yeah.
Yeah. So leading into that, you know, we weren't with each other, right? Forever. Well, except for y'all. Y'all are an anomaly, actually.
We are, Erica. You
You're
know,
an anomaly. So this will be for Bree and Aki.
I tried to get out, but
Yes.
it's cheaper to keep.
Go ahead. So Bree and Aki, you are going to be punished after this. I can feel it already.
Punch in the neck.
So knowing that you two weren't together forever, right? And there were past relationships, like, do you think it's okay to have past relationships as friends, or do you unfriend them? Like, what is that? Like, and this is good advice for people that are in your situation. Like, what do you feel is the best thing for your relationship that you found to be helpful? Are you still navigating that? Are you?
I don't feel like. I mean, I don't know if he follows anybody from our past relationship. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
If he did, I don't think it would bother me. Now, if there's like interaction, that's
Yeah.
different. But just following, no, you want to see how happy we are. Like,
I don't think we really pay. I don't really pay attention to stuff like.
But he had me laughing. He was chuckling. He's like, "You're asking this question."
I don't really.
I mean, unless you're coming from a different standpoint, I don't. Like I said, I don't know that he follows anybody from a previous relationship. And he's not really a big like poster. We were talking about that on the way here. I told him, I said, you can very much go to your Instagram and tell that it's football and a little like you throw family in there every now and again. You go to mine, you can see that I'm a mom, family. Like you can kind of tell what our algorithm, so to speak, is.
You're a doula too, right?
I am.
Yeah.
That page is separate though.
Oh.
But I am.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Y'all, they figured it out.
Yeah.
Y'all figured it out. Or you know what? You have that much trust in your relationship where it's not a thing. I think that's a huge part of it. You have to have trust in the other person, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest.
100%. Yeah. So, I mean, just thinking about my marriage, I interact with a lot of males. Could you imagine if my husband wasn't comfortable with me talking to men?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
That would be a thing. So it's trust. He knows I'm coming home every night. You know, there's not going to be any interference. There's no U-turns or nothing, right? So I think that has a lot to do with it. I really do. So I'm going to wrap it up because we have unfinished business from our last episode. And Bree and Aki, I would love to get some insight. So there were a couple questions that were asked. I'm going to pull it up here. It was our first Pillow Talk edition. And we had really good conversation. Like we really had really good conversation. And also the community that we're building, you know, really was chiming in, whether it was DMs or comments under the reels or the shorts or just the video of themselves. First, I want to say thank you because that's what this is about. And I want to take my time a little bit. The one I'm going to talk about when Trish, and I think you said you watched it, so you can get some insight too. And then, you know, Aki just follow along. He's done. Okay. Trish, you were talking about self-sabotaging, right? I want to get my glasses because I don't want to misread anything because I think it's important. You admit to unknowingly sabotaging your marriage, right? Early on due to deep-seated fears that Julius would leave, right? Yeah, based on your past experiences of watching men leave in your family. So can you share with us, or before that, I wanted to share too, that you also shared about how you healed, right? How you worked on your emotional baggage through therapy and communication with your husband, realizing that your fears of abandonment were not his responsibility to fix. I think that was huge, right? I didn't want to miss that. So how do you initiate those difficult conversations about past traumas affecting your relationship? Because a lot of people were like, wow, that was huge for you to share that. Like, how did you actually initiate that conversation with Julius? Don't get emotional.
I know. So I think the first step is going to therapy, right? Because you have to have a conversation with yourself to say this is a problem, right? And it was my therapist actually who helped me see that it was a problem, because I knew something was wrong. I just didn't really know what it was, because a lot of that trauma is so deep rooted that people don't realize that it's trauma, if that makes sense. So he had to help me unpack it. So in full transparency, it was in the middle of a big disagreement about something. And I said to him, look, I need a minute. So I had to walk away, which was something else that I learned from therapy, so that I don't end up saying things that I really don't mean in the heat of the moment. So I said, I need a minute. So when I left the room, something just said to me, be honest with him. So I stayed in the room, coming to grips with what I had to say to him. And then I just walked back in the room and I said it. And first of all, I started by apologizing to him, because it is not his fault. It is not his fault. I do want to preface this by saying that I do have a wonderful relationship with my father now. Like, my father is back in my life. He is dynamic and one of my best friends, besides just being my dad. He's come a long way through therapy and recovery, and we have a really good relationship. But I had to apologize to him first, because I've had to think back to all of the arguments that sparked because of that fear and because of that trauma. So I had to apologize, and then I had to explain it to him. And once I explained it all to him, he was able to understand. So every now and then it might spark up a little bit, but now I'm able to identify it. And I keep reminding myself that we're so many years in that if he wanted to go, he would have been gone, right? So he's just as vested as I am. As much as he says it's cheaper to keep her, like, honestly, he's just as invested as I am. But it did start with self-acknowledgement and then the apology to him, and being vulnerable enough to just open up and admit what was wrong.
So what advice would you give people trying to work through the same thing?
I would definitely say go to therapy. I would. You have to go to therapy, and you have to do self-reflection too. I think a lot of times we get in relationships and we put so much on the other person, but we don't look inward. What do I actually have that I'm bringing to the table, whether it's good or bad? What is it? And then how is it going to show up in the relationship? Because it's not only how is it going to show up in the relationship. Once we have children, then it's how is it showing up in my children? So I need to be very mindful of that and make sure that I self-reflect all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. I think it's huge, between self-reflection, a lot of prayer,
and honesty,
with
yourself.
Correct. You have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Bree, when you heard her say that, did that resonate with you? Yeah,
I just started therapy not too long ago.
Did you really?
Yes. And I think I think it's safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but ever since I started therapy, it's a little bit easier. I'm still working through to communicate some of my feelings.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. Before therapy, I'm very much shutting down immediately.
Yeah.
So definitely going to therapy is going to help you.
I love that.
We even talked about possibly going to therapy together. We haven't got there yet, but it's been a conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, it did resonate with me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really do. Yes. I got one more regarding Trish, what you said, and then Julius will go on to what they were saying for you. Okay. So it was the independent woman.
Oh boy.
You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you reflected on how Black women are often raised to be independent and self-reliant, sometimes to the detriment of creating healthy relationships. You discussed the need to strike a balance between independence and allow yourself to need and appreciate your partner.
Correct.
Okay. Now, teaching daughters to be wives, you observe that in the Black community, daughters are rarely taught how to be wives.
Correct.
Instead, the emphasis is often on being strong and independent. Okay. So I want you to clarify that, because people were like, well, you know, my grandmother raised me to be a wife, or there was one that said I can be both, but I would like for you to share what are some practical steps to changing this mindset, because I'll be honest with you, audience, I do agree. I agree. I think it's important for people to understand that I do stand with you, and I see that myself. So what are some of the things that we need to do in order to change the mindset and teach the next generation of women, right, about balancing that relationship, to be strong, and yet be vulnerable enough to say, yep, I do need my husband, and to raise them to be that ideal wife for them.
Yeah, so the first thing is to literally say, oh, I can't, because I'm not in every single Black home across America. I'm just not, right? So I know that there are some moms or grandmoms that have taught their daughters how to be wives or how to operate within a relationship. I think, again, self-reflection. So think about whether or not you were taught to be a wife or be a partner in that mindset. We often see our mom, and I was raised by a single mom, so I see her in that independent woman trope all the time. That's what's embedded in my head, right? So I have to, again, have a conversation with myself that this is what I am. I'm strictly an independent person, and I'm no longer independent because I have this person that I'm with, that I'm saying for better or for worse, like forever and ever, amen. I have to learn how to start shutting away some of those things. And I'm not saying that you shut them away and keep them away, because there are going to be marriages, unfortunately, that don't make it. So you don't want to, and I said it last time and I'll say it again, you want to leave better, you don't want to leave broken. So I don't want to be so distraught if he packs up and leaves. I have to still maintain who I am. I think the steps are simple things. Everyone wants to feel loved, appreciated, and needed in some capacity. So how does that manifest itself in your relationship? I don't know how to fix anything, right? That's his forte. That's what he does. When it came to certain homework with the kids, I had to take on that. So I'm okay with saying, I don't know how to do this. I need your help with this. Not I got it, because then he doesn't feel needed. And then Brenda from down the block gonna have a broken faucet.
Brenda.
And then I don't know no Brenda. But so I think it's actually taking a look inward and saying to yourself, where am I at within this? And then I still go back to, if it is a grandmom, link up with grandmom. If she was in a great relationship, a healthy relationship, and using her to assist you in building the marriage. And couples therapy. There's nothing wrong with that either. So it definitely wasn't to offend the single independent Black women out there by any means. All I'm saying is that strong-headed mindset in a relationship may or may not scare someone off.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's something that if we were raised to be strong, independent women, that we do struggle with. I think if we're all honest, right? I'm looking at you, Bree, because you're the other woman, right? I think we all struggle with that too.
And I said strong with strength, with support, right? I'm not saying become weak. I'm never saying be weak or be docile in your marriage. That's definitely not what I'm saying. Be strong with support. So he is my support system.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, Uncle Jay, here we go. You talked about the importance of taking time to truly get to know a person before committing, right? You even suggested a lease with an option to buy. Approach where couples should spend years together before making a marriage decision. Again, y'all, I'm reading this verbatim because I want to make sure I'm clear at what was asked of me. Okay. You also stress the importance of men being clear about their intentions, right? Especially if a woman is dating to marry and the man is not ready for that. Okay. We need you to explain. One, what did you mean by lease with an option to buy?
Lease with an option to buy. It's basically, you want to make sure that this relationship is right. When I say that, so you know how you take a car, you go to buy a car, you take it out for a quick test drive. You test drive the car, you come back 15 minutes later, you buy the car, and then a couple months down the line, you're like, yeah, I don't really like this car. But when you lease that car for 2-3 years, you know if you really like that car. And if you really like that car, maybe you're not going to buy that model, but you're going to buy the upgraded model. Or maybe just say, hey, I'm going to keep this one because I really like the car and buy it. You want to make sure you know what you got. Because a lot of times people get with someone, think that person is one way, and once they truly start to live with them, they're not. And let's be realistic. You can go over to her house, she can come over to your house, and think y'all great, chemistry's great, oh, we doing this, we doing that. But until you start living with a person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 366 days a year, and starting to understand their finances, their thinking, their family members, you may say, you know what? I like you, but yeah, I can't roll with your family. And you don't really fully need to understand. And maybe that'll help cut down the divorce rate. And I think what happens is, I understand females are now in the situation where they're in their 40s, in their 50s, and they're ready to get married. They're ready to have kids, start a family. But just because you're on the clock now, doesn't mean you need to accelerate things to the point that you make mistakes that can't be reversed. If you waited 50 years, you can wait 3 more. You should be pretty good at waiting now.
And to the 50-year-old woman that's looking for a partner, it's probably like, you got your nerve. No, you can accelerate this process. I think when you're that age, okay, for the 50-year-old woman, when you're that age, I think that you know what you want, right? And when you see it, there's no reason to wait.
But you think you see it.
You think, okay, 6 months I think is long enough because you've been in this. That's me personally. I'm thinking if I was that age, what's that?
You and your husband, y'all met and fell in love like.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
You guys are a rare breed. Jesse's a rare breed dude.
A rare breed. Okay. You love referring to people with animals.
Need to up his analogy.
Yes. Oh my God.
Animals, cars.
Yeah. Right. Animals and cars. That's right.
He's a rare guy.
Yeah.
You're not another farming guy like Jesse. And if you try to leave Jesse, I will call you up. What the heck you doing? This ain't happening.
You're right. You're exactly right. I'm talking to the single woman that's in their 50s. I think that they should have a clear understanding.
But the person that they're entering into the relationship with may not. So I do sympathize because I know what it is to say, okay, I'm ready. But then you're dealing with a lot of people who are not ready. So the old folks always say slow and steady wins the pace. And I get that. It's unfortunate. I think it's seriously unfortunate, the situation that we're in America right now, where people are not focusing their attention on marriages are becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
And I think people enjoy dating. Social media has opened the floodgates of who you can interact with. People are flying all over to meet people and date people. And unfortunately, it's slowing down marriages, right? And there is an older woman that says, I'm ready. But if I'm going to do it, I want to make sure I'm doing it and I'm doing it right. So I don't really disagree with that. If it happens in 6 months, great. If it happens in a year, great. If it takes 4 years, okay. I will say, I go back to what my grandmom said, shit or get off the pot. Like, we can't be there forever, right? At some point, she wants to nail that thing down.
Right.
And if he's not willing to do that and not have honest conversation about why he's not willing to do that, then yes, she should move on.
Right. And just like you said, just because you're ready don't mean this other person's on the same pace as you. And, you know, maybe it goes back to that theory where they say females mature quicker than men.
Yeah, I think there's proven studies on that.
And maybe
Gotta get a professional in here. But there's life proven studies. Yeah.
So, you know, and the thing is, we're also, you know, make sure you're with this person and they're genuine. Now, if you fall in love in 6 months, I'm not saying you need to wait 3 years. I'm not saying you need to wait 2 years. If you meet this person and this is the one for me, and it took you 3 months, it took you 6 months, then by all means, go ahead and move with your feelings. All I'm saying is just make sure that you know what you're getting into. So you don't bring kids into the world. You don't, once you get married and you start a family and so forth, just leaving is not that simple no more. It becomes a difficult process. You're very intertwined now. And, you know, just make sure you know what you're getting out of the person, you know. And like I said, female, I understand. I got 2 daughters. I'm hoping that they grow up and get married and have kids.
Yeah.
You know, and it is tough out here for females right now. But at the same time, don't put unjust pressure on a guy just because you feel like you're on this clock and you need to do it quickly, because in the end, you might wind up doing more damage to yourself than good.
Yeah. Thank you, Uncle Jay, for your final words of wisdom. Bria and Aki, what do you think? What resonated with this conversation today?
I'll let you go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree
with everything.
If I'm thinking of our relationship specifically, I didn't want to like him. Like he was everything that, like, I think I know I needed, but I think fear did not allow me to like him. And I was
that way. I love my husband, but wasn't ready for the man that he was when I met him. Yeah, because he was everything that I needed, and I was not ready to receive it. So I relate to that.
Yeah, being in a place where you're ready to receive it is one thing. And I love my husband dearly. Do not mistake that.
Yeah. So y'all, not too much.
But in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't want another relationship. I don't want to like him. But he was putting pressure that I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
I love it.
So here we are, happily married. But yeah, I did not want to like him. Yeah. But to your point, I think allowing yourself time to get to know somebody, living together, all of those things kind of help bring things full circle. Because we have conversations all the time, and I tell him, you know, I'm not the same person when we first met, or I'm not the same person. Right. Yeah. Or I'm not the same person from our first kid that we had to the second kid. Like we're always forever changing. So making sure that you're with somebody that you're willing to continue to adapt with to whatever change it is that they're going through, I think is super important, because nobody's going to stay the same.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And to balance this out, Aki, you want to bring us home, and then we're going to wrap this up.
So hold on. What is the question again?
Just based on the conversation we had from our them answering their questions from their last episode, or just anything in general, this whole conversation. What are your last and final words?
I just say, just going off of that, I think the biggest thing is just making a decision every day to be with that person. I think that's the biggest thing. Just waking up and saying, like, yeah, like, you're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have good days. But like, just making that personal decision, like, this is gonna be my person for the rest of my life. Like, it is what it is. Like, we gonna have to figure it out some way. So I think, like, once that was, and I just shared it, like, because before her, I probably was in one relationship, like, and it was, like, probably for a couple months. But other than that, I was, like, strictly football, school. That was me. So after that, I'm like, all right, the next person I'm going to be with, like, I already kind of wired my brain, like, that's going to be my wife. The next person, like, it is what it is. Like, that's what I'm doing. So, like, I made that decision. But it's not like I was out here chasing either. I'm just like, it just kind of, it happened that way. It just kind of happened that way. So I'm like, and to this day, that's what I do. And you know, we're growing. Every day is not perfect, you know. So we're, it's I mean, it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a journey.
Yes.
And my whole approach, and I think our approaches were different for a little bit before we got married, was as far as her approach was, all right, let's get to know each other, this and that. But my whole approach was, okay, I'm choosing you. So that was where I am choosing you. So there's nothing that's going to throw me off. I am choosing you. So we might as well jump into it. Let's take this journey together. And, it is what it is. So I think our approach was different in the beginning at first with that.
Oh, that's right. And I know all the other women that are looking for their man are like, man, I can't wait to get it. Right.
And just to add, it was fear for me.
Yeah.
That was where my approach came from. It was just fear.
Yeah.
That eventually I was like, you got to grow up. Like, you got this man here that's telling you he's choosing you.
Right.
So you got to get with the program.
I know, that's
So,
great.
yeah.
I love this. Thank you so much, y'all. We could have went on. No, Uncle Jay, we're done.
Hold on.
We're done, Uncle Jay. We're done.
Hold on. Other thing that females just got to make sure, though, is the man you're looking for, that God actually created him. Your standards ain't so high that God said, nah, I ain't making that dude.
Okay, we'll let you slide that one. That was good. Really good. Thank you all for watching this episode. So this is what we need to do. We need to hear back from you because they dropped a lot of great information, great conversation. We had $1 million conversation today. Okay. That's what we aimed for. That's what we got. So we want to hear from you. Please. I'm looking in the comments. They'll be looking in the comments, whether it's on social media or on YouTube. If they don't see it, I will tag them if you have a question directly for them. Just keep the community building. Thank you. Until next time. I cannot leave until I say thank you to Rustler Home Builders for allowing us to set up in this beautiful $2.3 million estate. When I tell you it is absolutely gorgeous, had the women on this panel, our guests just goo goo gaga, I'm telling you. So we're going to give you some more behind the scenes. And I want to thank you to all of our sponsors that have actually helped us grow this channel, between my real estate business and Allstate Insurance and Fidelis Mortgage and Top Construction. We're going to keep the content coming. And until next time, Lakeith, did you have something?
No, I did want to, just before we got done, what is advice that you can give to younger people in a marriage at like early stages, just as some advice?
I would just say, don't let outside outside things influence how you make decisions. Don't let what your boys say or what you think is cool from your boys influence how you handle your household. Because at the end of the day, your household is your household. And one day we're going to all go to heaven or hell. And God is going to judge you based off of how you lived your life and not how your friends. So don't always say, well, who cares about it? They think it's cool or not. Just manage your household for you and your family. And whatever decision you make sure, I always make sure that it's going to affect my wife and kids in the most positive way first. Once it affects them positively, then we can move on. But I turn the outside noise off.
I love that. Until next time, y'all, keep keeping it real.